Hey guys, happy Sunday. In today's video, I'd like to cover technical analysis of Bitcoin as well as MicroStrategy. Obviously, we're getting a lot of macro scale updates over the weekend, as well as Bitcoin price showing some signs of a bull run potentially coming back. Now, most of you are wondering, will next week be a week where the bulls will be back, where we're going to see price action with Bitcoin and MicroStrategy? We'll cover all of those updates, what my technical analysis says in the year 2025, as well as cover the latest updates around the Bitcoin updates. Now, if you're new to this channel, first off, I'm thrilled that you're here. I would really appreciate hitting the like, subscribing for more related content. Let's begin, guys. I first wanted to start off with this quote from Michael Saylor. At some point, people will realize that they have more to fear by not embracing this technology than by embracing it. Obviously, we just have to just adapt, evolve with Bitcoin. If we don't, then things will just look even more bad in the future. There's only 21 million Bitcoins, and we just have to embrace it. Here's an interesting post from Josh Mandel. You do not plant a seed in the ground and then dig it up every day to see that it is growing. Bitcoin will grow. I mean, back when I first heard about Bitcoin about during 2013, I was very skeptical about it. But when I first invested in Bitcoin, when it was like at 700, 1300, I thought that, hey, it's very expensive. However, we can't look at Bitcoin in hindsight, even though prices were much different at the time. Thing is, when we invest, we don't look at it from a rear view mirror. We have to look at it from a forward approach. Bitcoin will continue to go up. At one point, it'll be in the multiple millions of dollars. So we can't look at it from hindsight. We just have to look through the lens of the forward approach and not, look at it every day. Yes, you can look at the prices, but when it comes to buying and selling, hodling will be the way for you to win in the long-term course. So let's embrace Bitcoin and the ecosystem. Here's an interesting visual. Now that we know where Bitcoin is with the current markets, we just have to swallow that orange pill, embrace it, and not be skeptical about Bitcoin. Yes, there's moments of volatilities. We see bear markets, bull markets, but in the long-term course, Bitcoin will continue to go up. So keep stacking. That's the way to win. I love this visual in that Bitcoin doesn't need us. We need Bitcoin. Why? When you think about it, Bitcoin doesn't get tariffed. Part of Wall Street, Bitcoin isn't a stock. Bitcoin, there's only a limited finite supply. You can't turn on the money printer by the Federal Reserve and just print more money. Inflation, when that goes up, what happens? Bitcoin becomes more valuable. So Federal Reserve, I think with the US government, the governments understand that Bitcoin is here to stay. It's going to be the most valuable asset at one point, bypassing gold. Wall Street Federal Reserve doesn't need Bitcoin, which is why, you look at it, financial institutions are just buying up right now. I think Bitcoin doesn't need any of this. We all need Bitcoin and the ecosystem. Here's an interesting visual, basic mathematics from the Bitcoin therapist. So with your money, you have your money here. It just goes infinity and beyond. What happens when you divide something with a larger number? The value of your money just gets diluted. However, when you look at it from a Bitcoin standpoint, it's your money invested over the 21 million Bitcoins available. Now, given the fact that we only have 5.5 Bitcoin available out of the 21 million, that's a low number when you divide that with the denominator. What does that mean? The value of your money will increase. Michael Saylor posts today early in the morning, no tariffs on orange dots. So US Customs doesn't really charge tariffs on goods, services when it comes to Bitcoin. Why? Because Bitcoin is a stored value digital commodity asset. I think what Saylor is alluding to is there's going to be another orange dot that's going to be announced Monday. So where strategy is, over half a million Bitcoins, 528,000 Bitcoins. He's just going to keep stacking. Dollar cost averaging is the way to win. We're looking at Bitcoin and digital asset policy intelligence. Total, there's 117 policies that have been implemented. Orange is a new color. I mean, we've seen Trump at the UFC yesterday wearing an orange tie similar to Saylor, what he always wears. I think all these states realize that strategic Bitcoin reserve is the way to go. It's going to be a race right now. We have like states like Texas, Florida, Arizona really pushing hard to get SBR enacted in each states. BSC return, MicroStrategy. I mean, when you compare MSTR to the Mag 7, look at this big beast. MicroStrategy in the 1,000 BSE% return, while you compare Nvidia, Bitcoin, Tesla, Google, Meta, Microsoft, Apple, Amazon. MSTR is the leading workhorse. MSTR will continue to grow when you compare MSTR's capital markets compared to the Mag 7. Yes, MSTR isn't at that trillion-dollar, billion-dollar company, but at one point it's going to get there. It's going to climb into that Mag 7. MSTR is in the QQQ, but at one point they're going to be in the S&P 500 index at one point. Why? Google even sees the value in MicroStrategy. Google Gemini, they're going to be participating in the upcoming May event for AI. So think about it. Mag 7s are working with MicroStrategy. There's a push and pull mechanism going on. Market cap is just going to continue to increase given the fact that Bitcoin price will appreciate to multiple millions of dollars. Can you imagine the share price of MicroStrategy at that point? With that, I want to transition over to technical analysis, and I would encourage you to stay towards the end. I will play some epic clips of Michael Saylor. We're looking at technical analysis of Bitcoin. So, one of the key indicators that I am seeing is that the current price action at 84,695 yesterday, Sunday, we saw price action above the 86,000. In fact, price action bypassed the 50-day and 200-day moving average with yesterday's price. So in blue is the crossing 86,000. We saw that. So technically, price action has crossed the 50 and 200-day moving average. That's a key indicator. I think as we head into next week with the opening of the stock market, it'll be interesting to see how Bitcoin performs. I think with the news around exclusions for tariffs on 25% of China's total exports to the United States being related to consumer electronics, with those tariffs being excluded for now, that's really going to drive a bull run, especially in the Mag 7s like Apple, companies that produce electronics in the China markets, even though it's a US based company. So it'll be interesting to see whether the price action currently at 84,000 can it break through that 86,000, 87,000. We're going to be off to the races. There's even talks about how Bitcoin price can break into that $90,000 end of month range. And it'll be interesting to see at what point we can get Bitcoin to jump up to the 150 range. Even Tom Lee, he's forecasting that just with price action, we may very well get to that, 150 towards the end of the year. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But I'm bullish with what Tom Lee is forecasting. Tom Lee is generally correct. So I'm very hopeful, thinking that Bitcoin, we're in this bull run and we may very well push up to that 120, 150K in this year. We're looking at MicroStrategy technical analysis. So one of the key things is, from a long-term standpoint, we're seeing higher lows, higher highs. Obviously, in the recent months, we've been just seeing retracement in this bull flag. ups and downs where the support level was even at that 220. In fact, we saw that retest of, 230 in the near term, especially with the Liberation Day going into effect. However, we're seeing some nice movements with MSTR. In fact, on Friday, it jumped up 10%. It'll be interesting to see how the Mag 7s perform because of the news that just got announced over on the weekend. I think that's going to push up Bitcoin price as well. There's correlation behind energy AI companies, Mag 7s, and that correlating with the performance of Bitcoin going up. Yes, we'll see some decoupling on certain days, but I think Bitcoin may very well have a nice price action movement starting, Monday, although volatility still remains, so that there's still definitely uncertainty. So we may very well see the ebbs and flows, ups and downs with MSTR's price. But key indicator here is having MSTR, establish that prior resistance, get back into that 340, hover around that new support line before we can see the price action, start getting back into that 550. But I think that if Bitcoin can break 150,000 in this year, we're definitely going to see that, that I'm forecasting somewhere around that 750 is that sweet spot. We may very well see it go higher, but I think the most reasonable price area would be around that 750 if Bitcoin gets to that 150K. Let's take a look at it on a weekly chart. So on the weekly, we see some nice green candles establishing. Obviously, we saw some big red candles over the course of post that run up back in November, but I think that we're going to be potentially seeing some nice big green candles that's going to be coming. This cup and handle is a forming, so I do forecast that we're going to see nice movements. I think relative strength is going to start going up, volume is going to start going up. Anytime when Bitcoin runs, that's when FOMO comes in. Saylor is able to get more money to buy more Bitcoin, and as a result, share prices, shareholders are going to win in this environment. So I do see 2025, we may very well see MSTR reach new all-time high of 750 plus in the year 2025, if and when Bitcoin can break through that 150K.
It's not that hard to see that this is a 25 to 50 trillion dollar a year problem for anybody with assets on Earth. Mm-hmm. It's very rare that you find a technology that's the solution to every rich person's problem and every poor person's problem simultaneously. We bought Bitcoin. We bought 250 million. No public company had ever bought any. People thought we were crazy. So then we bought another 175 million. People thought we were crazy. Then we bought 600 million more. People said, you can't stand on it. It'll destroy you. It's like standing on a bridge made of steel. And I concluded, it's the perfect engineered material to solve our problem, but people are living in fear. And how are we going to get them to not be fearful? And I was reminded of Andrew Carnegie's example. It's like build the bridge, go stand out in the middle of the bridge. You build an airplane, fly the airplane. Show people that it's not going to break. That's what MicroStrategy did. We said, well, if it's good for 100 million, it's good for a billion. If it's good for a billion, we might as well go for 4 billion. Right? And at some point, people will realize that they have more to fear by not embracing this technology than by embracing it.
So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this video where I covered technical analysis, price predictions of Bitcoin, MicroStrategy. Let me know what your thoughts are, where you see the price action headed in the upcoming week and the remainder of 2025. First off, if you're new to this channel, I would really appreciate you hitting the like, subscribing, turn on the bell notification for more related content. I'll see you on the next one, guys.